Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from AnthonyMorganti.com, and this is episode 107 of Photo Critiques. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard by now, I'm no longer accepting images for critique. In the description of this video, I'll have a link where I wrote a small article that explains why I'm no longer going to be doing critiques and what I'll be doing instead of critiques in the near future. Now, if you've already sent me in your images and I've accepted them, I will be doing your critique. I have enough images to keep me busy through February, so I'll be doing a lot more episodes of critiques until I'm finally done with it. So don't worry if you sent me them. I will be doing your critique in the order that I did receive it. Now, in episode 107, I'm critiquing the work of Abhilash Madnavaram. I hope that's close. Abhilash, I apologize. Um, Abhilash sent me some really nice shots, and this first one I really like. We have the obviously the Ferris wheel. I like the helicopter. I just like it there. I like it that he shot it on kind of a tilt, so it's kind of got this diagonal tilt going through it. A lot of times, typically in a landscape shot, you want it totally level. But every now and then you could get creative and tilt one. It's you're not breaking any rules or laws or anything. The only little thing about this image, this guy's really interesting. It's slightly over processed. Now, processing is in the eye of the photographer, so I encourage Abhilash to do it as you see fit. But why I say it's over processed is only a technical aspect. When you tend to use too much saturation and too much clarity and maybe a little too much contrast, you get these kind of glow around structures, especially that are sticking up into the sky area. So as you can see here, we have this kind of glow. It almost looks like it's clouds, but it really isn't. It's just the glow around this that is sticking up into the sky. So you might want to back down your clarity a little bit, back down the saturation a touch, and see if you could minimize that glow. I think you'll find the shot will be just as strong and just as compelling, and you'll won't have this glow anymore. And that particularly comes into play if you're going to print this. When you get a print, that kind of sticks out. This kind of glowing. What you see on the screen is one thing, and what you actually see when it's hung on the wall is another thing. So keep that in mind. This shot here, I love the lines. You took advantage of all these lines. Very well done. Very interesting sky. The lights are on, which is just kind of unusual because it looks like it's very bright out anyways. But it's a very nice shot. Again, this one here is just slightly over processed. You could see that anything here kind of has a little bit of a glow to it. And you could see kind of glows. Here and there you can see some glow, so it's very close. This one isn't as over processed as the previous one, but there still is just a little bit. So if you could just back down the clarity and maybe the saturation just a touch, and you'll eliminate that glow altogether. Also, there's little tiny sensor spot here. Go through the sky real carefully and get rid of any of the sensor spots. Very nice shot though. This is a very cool shot. I consider this an art shot. Very high saturation on the colored part, which is of course the bicycle. Let's call it a bicycle. The rest of it, of course, is in just almost total black and white. There's just a tiny bit of tone in there, but very well done. Very nice shot. Very tedious to do, to get rid of all the color out here and keep the color here, and then oversaturate this color, which really adds to the shot. So it's very well done, Abhilash. This shot here I like a lot, and I think what pulled it off is the separation of the young man from the background, and it helps that he has dark hair and the background's light. So keep that always in mind, photographers, when you're taking shots. Be conscious of how bright the background is and how light or dark the hair is of the individual you're shooting. If this background was very dark, he would have blended into the background, and it wouldn't have been as near as strong of a shot. Now, having it in black and white helps separate him even more. So I like that Abhilash did that. It's very well done. It is very strongly processed. Again, you could see, it's got very kind of plasticky type skin tone to it because it's really processed strong. But I still consider this more of an art image than a portrait. So you did a really nice job. Very nice shot. This shot here, I like the colors and I like the, the just the general kind of feel of the shot. The only issue is that it is very busy, especially the background. It makes this, as I mentioned before about the boy, how he sticks out from the background because this is light and his hair is dark, so it kind of makes him stand out from the background, and you further exemplified that by the processing, making it a monochrome picture makes him stand out even more. Also, I didn't mention the catch lights in his eyes are fantastic. It makes the subject come alive. Real, vivacious, alive looking shot. So it's a really nice shot. But back to this one, conversely, this doesn't stand out from the background. It tends to blend in. So it's harder to look at. It's harder for the person viewing your image to decide what to look at and what to focus on. Whereas on this image, we're looking right at the boy's eyes. We see it's such a strong shot. Whereas this one, where do I look? I mean, I got some kind of neat stuff over here. Flowers kind of cool. We're kind of searching and we don't really land on anything. If you do have a busy scene, normally you could maybe you could use some type of framing where you have something out of focus in the foreground that's kind of framing the subject in the middle, or you have some use of leading lines or diagonal lines which help lead the eye through the picture onto your strong subject. Now this shot is missing all of that, so we're just looking at these plants and how do we see it. So keep that in mind when you're photographing a scene. Some scenes you just can't photograph. They're just impossible to get a strong image of. They're interesting to look at with our eyes, but they're hard to photograph, and this I think is one of them. This is another beautiful portrait. I think it's a really nice job. I like normally when we photograph children, a lot of people tend to stand up and shoot down on the child. I like that Abhilash got down low and shot up at the child, which adds to the character of the shot. And her sunglasses are excellent. Very adds to her personality. It's processed just right. I think it's not too much over processing where her skin starts to look really like plastic. It's just just enough, I think. And the focus is very good. Of course we want to focus on the eyes, but the sunglasses preclude that. So her lips are the next area where we'll look at, and her lips are a nice tight focus, and it's a really nice shot. Very well done. And this shot is excellent. I just love this shot. Again, another cat shot for the internet, but this one's a very compelling image. The cat's eyes are in perfect focus. Of course, that's what we want. 1/500th of a second, f/5.6, ISO 400, 200 millimeter lens, which I mentioned in previous critiques. When you use a telephoto lens for a portrait, you have very shallow depth of field, so you have to be very careful with your focusing, and Abhilash did a great job here with the focusing, and it drew everything else behind the cat out of focus, which helps the cat's head stand out from the shot. So it's a really nice shot, and of course the eyes are what make this shot. Very strong shot. And that's it for episode 107. I'd like to thank Abhilash for sharing your images with me, and I apologize that I'm butchering your name. I wish I could pronounce it correctly. Sorry I didn't. I'd like to thank everyone who watches all my videos. I really do appreciate it. If you have time, go over to my website, anthonymorganti.com. I have all kinds of photography stuff over there. And if you haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you went to YouTube and subscribed to my YouTube channel. That's it for now. I'll talk to you guys soon.